This is a session on advertising, and in particular, we are talking about the media, the role of media, and the involvement of media as far as advertising is concerned. In one of our previous episodes, we had introduced the subject of media and its impact in the field of advertising. We had discussed a lot of issues regarding the different forms of media, but today our focus will be on something called media planning and strategy. Now, having armed ourselves with some understanding of what media are, what are the different media available to a media planner, and what are the relative merits and demerits of the different media options available to a media planner, we will now need to go into the subject of how to plan for it and how to strategize for what media should be used, how should it be used, and things like that. So, media planning is a topic for today. Now, what do you think would be involved in this subject of media planning? I'll give you an idea. Media planning is a series of decisions involved in delivering the promotional message to the prospective buyers and or users of the product. It could be a brand or a service also. It is a process in which a number of decisions are to be taken, which may have to be altered or even dropped or abandoned at different stages in the media planning process. But then it involves a series of decision making activities, which is what makes it a managerial job. Now, having said this, what is a media plan then? The media plan is really the guide for the media selection. Okay, it requires the development of specific media objectives and specific media strategies. So it should start with what are the objectives to be achieved as far as the communication is concerned, and how to go about achieving those. That is the strategic part of it, the plans of action to be taken, and which you believe would help you attain those objectives. Now, there is no need for me to go into a discussion on what a medium is, what media are, because we have had that discussion before. But then, just in passing, I might say this, that a medium is a general category of available delivery systems, which includes, as you would know by now, the different broadcasting media like radio or television, or print media like the newspapers and magazines, uh, direct mail, which is what we had discussed in one of our prior episodes,
Telemarketing.
telemarketing, direct
Outdoor.
mail, even outdoor supporting media, and other supporting media, different media which are emerging like the internet, and so on and so forth. So, which out of these would you select and why? Okay, and we might use these terms frequently. That's the reason I'm just trying to give you an initiation on this. The media vehicle is a specific carrier within a medium category. Okay, so when I say a media vehicle, what I would mean is that we are talking about a specific carrier within that category of media. Like for example, if we look at the print media, India today is a print vehicle within the category of print media. Okay, and let's say Red FM is a specific vehicle
Radio.
in the medium of in the electronic media like radio, and it is a part of the broadcasting media vehicles. Okay, so this is what we would mean by media vehicles. Now, before we really go into the subject, let's look at why is it important that the advertising function needs to have a planning, within the medium selection. What is the importance of media planning? Can you think of what are the reasons why we do media planning? Why is it important?
So
So-
to find out the reach.
We need to find out reach. What is the meaning of the word reach?
So
Certified.
the frequency.
Reach is a different thing from frequency. What is reach and what is frequency?
So the target audience we want to
Want to
Reach,
communicate
yes.
to
Want to
the
communicate,
message
yes.
to. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I mean, yeah, you're correct. I mean, although this has got a technical connotation, and we will come to that presently. Reach means something specific in technical terms. But then what you meant was correct. The number of people that we can reach out to in a given target profile of the audience with our message. Okay. So that is one important aspect why we want to do a media planning. We want to maximize reach. Is it not so? With your target audience and with the media vehicle that you would finally select, you want to maximize reach. You want to reach out to as many people as possible within the target audience defined by you. Okay, that's one. The other thing is you are referring to frequency.
Frequency.
Now, that's another important issue. Every medium needs to as we all know, advertising is also reminding. It's not just making people aware one time and then forgetting all about it. Advertising also has this function of reminding people about certain products or certain brands. So if reminder is important, then you have to repeat the message. Whatever message you are trying to reach out with, you need to repeat that message a number of times, because you want the target profile of the target audience to not only know about it, but also revisit that message, think about it, and you believe that this is going to bring about certain change in his attitude or behavior. So it's important that you repeat the message, and that's the reason frequency is an important parameter. Like reach is important, it's also important that how many times can I repeat a message, not only because I want an individual target audience to remember me and remember my message, but also because I want to make sure that I am really reaching out to those many people, because there are many things which are beyond my control. As far as the in-home media are concerned, like somebody is watching the television set is on, but that individual whom you are targeting may not actually be watching that particular program, or he might actually be doing something else while the TV is on, or he might be working on something while the radio is on. So how many times you really need to reach out to that individual so that you have an effective reach? So there is a difference between what is a theoretical reach and what is an effective reach. And you also need to maximize the effective reach. So both frequency and reach are important because you want to maximize these, and these are basic parameters of the advertising which you believe is going to get you results in terms of bringing about certain changes in the behavior pattern of the target audience. Okay. Now, important thing to note here is this, that all integrated marketing communication programs, nowadays I must tell you this, that people talk about something called IMC, the integrated marketing communication programs. Now this includes a whole gamut of communication programs that are carried on by companies with a specific objective. Like in this, you have advertising, you have got sales promotion, you have got direct marketing, you have got personal selling. All these public relations, all these functions rolled together is what has become integrated marketing communications. And because each one of these has got a specific feature and a specific advantage over the other forms of communication, they are used in tandem many a time by the media planners. It is not enough merely to say that I would do advertising, I would not look at any of the other options like sales promotion or public relations. You cannot say that, because so many companies are there and there are so many products and brands which are in competition that you need to make a multi-pronged attack as far as the target audience is concerned. You cannot depend on one single kind of medium to deliver the message that you want to deliver. So you would try to use a mix of media, and if this is important, the different media options available to you offer different benefits, as we have discussed before. And the other thing is there is so much of competition. So one would be quite safe in saying this, that the integrated marketing communication programs are, let's say, no longer a luxury. They have become, you could call, a necessity. Okay. Now, previously it was not like that. The proliferation of media was not as much as it is today. The onslaught of competition was not as high as it is today, and the changing preferences of customers is really a force to reckon, and therefore it has become more of a necessity rather than a luxury. And as I was saying, there has been so much of proliferation of different forms of media, and there has been an extensive growth in each of the media sections. So media planners must now consider, the new and emerging media as well, and at the same time recognize the values of the old and established media formats in order to, prepare the best possible message and, choose the best possible vehicle to reach out to the target audience. So as it is, the task of media planning is a very difficult and complicated one, and all these factors make it even more difficult. Okay, now the other thing is there are so many options involved, and the characteristics of each media are changing by the day. Each of the different media that we have talked about are coming out with more and more varied and innovative formats for advertising. Like you see, television, how it has matured over time.
Yes.
In the olden days, if you could remember the advertisements that were flashed on television, they were something. And nowadays, if you look at television advertising, there are so many more options available now. even in the same media format like the television. So you have to consider all that. Okay. Now, before we go into these details, let's really look at reach and frequency with a little more interest, because these are very specific technical terms as far as media planning is concerned. What is reach? I'll read this to you. Reach is a measure of the number of different audience members exposed at least once to a media vehicle in a given period of time. So it is really the number of different members of the target audience who have been exposed to that message of yours at least once, okay, in a given media vehicle over a given period of time. So there is a time frame that is involved, and we are talking about a specific media vehicle, and we are talking about a target audience, out of which how many members have been exposed to your message at least once. That is a measure of reach. Okay. Now, this is different from something called coverage. The next term that we introduce is coverage. Coverage refers to the potential audience that might receive the message through a media vehicle. Okay, mark my words, it refers to the potential audience that might receive the message through a particular media vehicle over a given period of time. So, is there a difference between coverage and reach?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
What is the difference?
So, sir, in reach, the audience faces the media channel only once over a given period of time. But coverage has nothing to do with the term once. Maybe
Yeah.
they are exposed to it more, the media channel more than once.
And
You're right.
reach is not not for a specific group of people. Whereas
No, it is for a specific group of people, because we're talking about a target audience all the time. For all these definitions, we are talking about a target audience. Okay, I'll tell you what the difference is. It's very simple actually. Coverage refers to the potential audience, and reach is talking about an actual audience that has been delivered with the message. See the difference now? Coverage is the potential, whereas reach is the actual audience that has been exposed to the message through that media vehicle at least once. Now, what is frequency then? Frequency refers to the number of times the recipient or the receiver is exposed to the media vehicle over a given specified period of time. So, frequency is quite simple and straightforward. The number of times he has been exposed to that message, talking about the same media vehicle, and over a specified period of time. So these things will, come up again and again in our discussions. That is the reason I thought I'll give you some kind of a definition of these three terms, which are very important. Now, again, we go back to our discussion on media planning, and now we have understood why media planning is such an important activity. Now, having said this, let's look at what are the problems when that you will face as a media planner. What are the problems involved? There are, in fact, a large number of problems. One of the most important and the biggest problems that a media planner faces is insufficient information. There is so much of information that can be collected about media options, and there is so little information actually available. Okay, there are so many options, but think of a situation where there is a lot of option available, but then information availability is quite low. I mean, it would be unfair to say that there is very little information available, while there is a great deal of information available about the readership and the listenership and the viewership of different media and media programs. But then the media planner, when he's actually faced with the task of doing a media planning, is always asking for more. And he therefore realizes that there is always a dearth of information or relevant kind of information based on which he can come out with a good and effective media plan. Why is there this complaint by the media planner that there's not sufficient information available? The reasons range, from something like some data are just not measured. There are some sorts of data which the media planner is interested in, but then nobody seems to be measuring that kind of information from the market at all. Okay, and the reasons given by the people who are involved with the measurement of data as far as the audience profiles are concerned, they feel that these information or these data cannot be collected, or many a time the complaint is this, that it would be so expensive to measure them that it's not worthwhile measuring them. But the fact remains that you need information to make decisions, and many a time that kind of decision is not available. with the result, what happens is that many companies or many advertisers or marketing companies, they have to come up with a media plan in the absence of hardcore information, and much of it is left to their wisdom and judgment and expertise. Okay, not much on information as it needs to be. Another problem is the timing of measurement. Information, as I said, is available, but then many a time you'll find that the timing of measurement is such that it's not useful for you. Some information is quite outdated, and much of that is not relevant as of today.
Okay.
Many a times measurements are initiated by different agencies at certain periods of the year, and they are discontinued for the rest of the year. And what happens therefore is this, that the media planner will have to fall back on that data and generalize it for the different other periods of the year. But then there is no reason to believe that the viewership or listenership or readership keeps or remains the same throughout the year. It can change, it will change. It does change actually. But then people have to make their decisions based on some limited information, based on limited periods of time. So this is a major problem area, insufficient information, and the information is not ready for use most of the time. Another problem is the problem of inconsistent terminologies. As I was trying to tell you, there are very many technical terms in the media planning effort. Okay, like we were talking about reach and frequency and coverage.
Coverage.
You'll be surprised to know that many people use the terms reach and coverage interchangeably, although they are not the same. Okay, and different people in the media business use different terminologies to mean different things, and there's hardly a standardization across all these agencies who are involved in measurement and data collection. So what is happening is this, that at one level there's an inconsistency or lack of standardization about the terms used for measuring, and the other thing is people base their cost estimates on things and parameters which are also varied. Like for example, how would you measure the cost of advertising in print media, and how would you measure the cost of advertising in the electronic media? They are very different, very varied. Okay, like I'll just give you an example. In the print media, there is something called the cost to reach out to per thousand. Cost per thousand is one parameter or base, or rather cost base. Okay, how much would it cost to reach out to 1,000 people in a given target audience using a given media vehicle? Now that is one measure of cost in the print media business. But then you cannot use something similar in the electronic media. Now in the electronic media, what is happening is they base their cost on something called the rating points. Okay, and what is the cost to reach out to an audience per rating point? In fact, there's something called the cost per rating point, CPRP, the cost per rating point. Let's say every channel or every program has got some kind of a rating point. If you're talking about television, there are several programs, okay, and on different channels, and each program has got some kind of a rating point, which is a measure.
The
Okay.
television rating point.
Right. So there are
TRP.
various rating points, and now those rating points is what is linked with the costing of how much would be the cost to advertise in a given medium, like television or even for radio. Okay. So there is a vast difference in the cost parameters when it comes to using the print media or the electronic media, and you have to understand all that. Okay. Many a time terms like reach and coverage, as I said, are used interchangeably, which is the wrong thing to do technically, but then this is what is done quite often. A third problem arises because of the fact that media planners are always in a hurry. You'll always find that the media planner is under some kind of a time pressure. It's either because they feel that they need to come out with the advertisement as quickly as possible, or they put themselves under some kind of a pressure, which is many a time not very justifiable. Now these time pressures lead to many compromises made by the media planner in selecting the right kind of medium or choosing the right kind of strategy for transferring that message from the point of origin to the point of destination. So these are some of the problems.
Sir.
Yeah.
So due to data not measured and
Yeah.
the availability of large number of media, so there can be problems for the media planner to choose the right media.
Absolutely. This is the point we are trying to come out with. We are trying to say that, there's a lot of confusion all around. there is too much of information available many a time, and much of that information is not in a format that can be made use of by the media planner, which is what adds to the confusion. And the media options are so different and so varied from one another that you cannot apply a standardization across the different forms of media. But then you have to come out with cost figures, because you ultimately have to translate that to some units of money. And how do you account for a media budget that you'll spend? You have to understand what is the cost you're going to incur in trying to insert your ad, let's say in a newspaper or in a magazine, or coming out with ads in the radio or in the television, or putting up an outdoor advertising. There are cost figures involved, very important figures those, okay? But then the bases are all different. And in fact, this leads on to yet another problem, which is the difficulty in terms of measuring the effectiveness of the media plan. See, we have said that it is a plan, okay, and every plan needs to be able to measure its efficacy, how well it is doing, given its objectives, how is it performing, is the plan good, is the plan effective? These are all very important issues, but then again the difficulty lies in the fact that measuring the effectiveness aspect of a media plan is again very, very cumbersome. How do you measure? See, it's all said and done, in spite of bringing in many technical terms and trying to study the market in as much detail as possible, can one really be sure that one is reaching out to the target audience with the message in a manner that one would like to, both qualitatively and quantitatively? It's very, very difficult. To establish parameters of measuring efficiency, yardsticks for measuring efficiency, is yet another challenge in the media planner's scheme of things. Okay, so these are some of the issues one needs to ponder about. The media planner has got a very difficult task at his disposal, and in this scenario, he has to come up with a plan, and the money involved is quite a big amount of money. So he has to really be very, very careful, thoughtful, and be very alert about the different parameters that need to be taken into consideration. Okay, now let us go a little deeper and try and understand how does one go about developing the media plan. It starts with something called the market analysis and target market identification. So if you would try to look at the different important milestones in developing a media plan, the first milestone would be, a market analysis and the target market identification, because that is where the message needs to go. Okay, so where it should go, we have to have a very clear understanding. This is followed by establishment of media objectives. Okay, the media objectives in turn will lead to the formulation of media strategy development. The media strategy development would lead to implementation of those plans in the field. And finally, it would end with evaluation of the plan that has been put into action, and a follow-up and review maybe. Because it's an ongoing effort. A media plan, once formulated and implemented, it does not end there. You want to take feedback as to how it has done. You want to measure effectiveness, and based on the feedback that you receive about the effectiveness, you might think of modifying the media plan in the next planning horizon, and therefore that's a very important part of the activities also. Unless you have any questions, we'll close here. Okay, thank you.